Hello, everyone, and welcome to the monthly metaphysical report. This report is for May 2020. So, welcome. My name is Lysander, as I'm sure you probably know. All right, so we're going to talk about a bunch of things I think are pretty exciting, such as the numerology, astrology, for the month ahead, as well as a tarot reading going into what's ahead of us. I would like to open with a singing bowl and with a little centering exercise. So let's begin. All right, so now I would like you all to bring yourselves present, bring your attention here. For a moment, don't close your eyes just yet. Take note of what it is you're seeing, of what it is you're hearing around you, what you're feeling tactically, what you're feeling physically and emotionally, what you're thinking, what you taste, what you smell. What is it like to be you right now in this present moment? Bring yourself present. All right, so we are going to head into a brief grounding where we will be releasing old energy and releasing April and anything we may be carrying with us. Imagine yourself inside of a large bubble. This is your aura. Imagine gently attached to the bottom of your bubble is a pipe that extends deep into the earth. You can also visualize roots or any other long object that comes to you. Your energy is intelligent and will respond to your intentions. So if you can visualize the energy that we will be specifying draining down your bubble, down into the pipe and down into the earth, or just know that the energy is moving. And continue to breathe as we go through this. We release all energy that is not serving our highest good. We release all energy that belongs to other people and that is foreign to us. We release all that we are now ready to let go of. We release April. We release emotional burdens. We release all that we do not need to take forward with us on our journey. We release all of these things from every layer of our aura, from every chakra, from every part of our being and body. We release. We release. We release. As you see the last of this energy exiting the bottom of your bubble, see any drain or opening at the bottom disappear, and know that your aura is sealed and complete. The pipe or other attachment just falls away, falls into the earth, and dissipates. And that concludes the grounding. And now let's take a moment to call in our higher power, our divine source, your higher self, or your guides, or anyone else you'd like to call in, to kind of put back in some good energy. We now call in our higher power, light from source, to shine down and fill in all the spaces we've created now in our release. Filling all these spaces with our highest good and with all the blessings that the universe wants to give to us. Breathe it in. May is full of wonderful possibility. Feel free to sit in this energy for as long as you like. Now I'm going to move into our report for the month. So again, welcome everyone. Let me just set this aside. So this is May, as I've said, and the theme of the month is tending your garden. I know some of you are literally doing this, but it is meant metaphorically, and there are several parts to this idea. During this month, with all of the astrology and card reading and all the energy that's ahead of us, all this together comes into the idea of the old being consumed. So like in a garden, all of the old is being composted down and is breaking down and being destroyed in a sense, but in a sense of being transformed in order to feed what is coming and the new that is being formed. The sprouts are breaking the surface of the soil. So the old is being consumed to feed new life and new potential and a new way inside of us, in our world, on many levels. And there's also a big emphasis on kindness, love, connection, tenderness, and care. And I feel the garden really evokes that as well. In weeding, removing unwanted growth, as well as tenderly taking care of these new sprouts of love and kindness, really feeding into these aspects of ourselves and either allowing us to express those parts of ourselves or allowing them to grow if they're not there yet. So that is the theme of this turning over and this process where there's a lot of birth happening, but birth appears as death in this time. Reading for so many people and doing so many future readings, there's a real sense of a lot of the old ways within ourselves, old perceptions falling away, and these breaking down to feed this new change. So that is the theme. And May 1st is Beltane. And I would like to share with you a little excerpt. So I did not write this. This comes from We Moon 2020, which is a planner. And this entry is called Beltane, and it was written by Oak Chazar, excuse the pronunciation, from Mother Tongue Inc. and was published in 2019. So the page looks like this. It also features an artwork called Love Awakens, speaking of love growing in this garden we are tending, by Denise Kester in 2017. All right, so let's read. Beltane. Joyful time of flowers, softening the world. The chains of winter are broken. Break your symbolic bindings by planting seeds. As these seeds unclench in the darkness, Ask what choices can you make in response to the needs of this sacred moment. What is it that you value, and how can you align your life with that? In simpler times, communities gathered to jump over fires in the fields and participate in the great round of fertility. Listen to the voices of the universe saying yes. The sun shines, the birds sing, the flowers bloom. The purpose of the universe is to celebrate the delight of its existence. May that inspiration hotwire us into the living voltage of the mother. Renew your life with others. What we all long for is relationship with other beings. It's the only thing that cures this massive alienation. Lying on your back in the woods, see how the trees lift themselves in a circle. Reach out and extend your circle. Community, the geography of somewhere, is the we that balances the me. Women know this in the compass of our bones. I don't usually share specific writings from this, but I felt it was so incredibly apt for May. All right. And so with that, I would like to move into our tarot reading next. So let me move some of these things aside. My desk is piled with notes. And we are going to be turning the camera downward to look at the cards. So I don't think I need any of these. Bear with. There are a lot of cards for this reading. It was a very interesting read. So we're going to take a look. Oh, actually, I need to switch this first. So we have as big of a screen as possible. So we will go one at a time. So this reading is about the month ahead, May 2020. And it is kind of forecasting what's ahead of us and where we all collectively are. You may find you resonate with the entirety of this message or just parts of it, and both are perfect. This will also include advice. So this first card is the Queen of Cups, and this first card represents you, the individual, and your place or state of being you're in right now. This card talks about seeing the unseen and being motivated by love. So there's a sense that for some of us, we are trying to see more in this situation that is happening, and many of us are acting from that place of love and care and seeing the potential in the situation, as well as having faith in the way things will work out and holding true to that. For some of us, this expresses as not seeing what's right in front of us. So I find this an interesting place to be. The second card is what crosses us. This represents opportunities, obstacles, or simply the situation we are faced with at this time. This is Temperance. So this represents that we are being presented with the opportunity to heal, to overcome, and to not be ruled by mundane matters unless we choose to be. We can choose to transcend our circumstances and seek a blend of spirituality and the mundane. This is a real opportunity to really advance ourselves and push ourselves into the next level and really move beyond this. So that is what is presented. The next card talks about the distant past that has led us to our current position. I find the past cards interesting because it gives context for how things have come to be this way. And this is the Knight of Cups. So in the distant past, what has brought us here is this sense of driving everything forward, pushing ourselves to the brink, giving no quarter, really. I just kind of think that sense of pushing and pushing and pushing and driving ourselves forward in problematic situations. Because as you can see, she's on a rocking horse, and therefore, no matter how hard she pushes, she gets nowhere. It's this back and forth sensation. There's the illusion of moving forward. The next card is the more recent past, which likewise has led us to where we are now. And this is the King of Wands. This card talks about, it's kind of similar in a sense where it's very pushy as well. And it's pushing situations or people or ourselves forward through force and aggression. And likewise giving no quarter. And that this has led us to our current position. I'll just kind of put that down here. Just trying to find a way to lay these so they're all somewhat visible. They've led us to this current place where we are at a standstill and needing to turn inward at our own inner vision, or that we may simply be closing our eyes, and to respond from a place of love and have this opportunity to choose a new way and to rise above all this. Now, the next card is what crowns us, and this depicts something that's looming over us, or things that are on our mind. And this is the Four of Discs. And this talks about letting material concerns get in the way of true happiness and contentment. And interestingly, it does depict people literally trapped inside of their home and feeling limited by the materiality of their circumstances, and letting that really rob them of any joy in the present and separating them. So that's really hanging over us in the month ahead. Again, still we have this opportunity. Now the next card depicts future influences soon to enter. So technically all of this is about the future, about May. And this is something that's soon to come. So this may enter our lives near the end of May or even after that point. And this is the Four of Wands. And this card asserts that it's important to keep moving forward. You are not near the end yet. You have not won, so to speak, yet. You are moving towards success, and you are on the right path potentially. And I feel as though this speaks to the situation overall. We're not out of the woods yet, but we are moving forward. Now is not the time to rest or to get comfortable, to keep doing what must be done. All right, so these are those cards. I'm going to need to move them over a little bit. See if we can get them to move all together. So obviously you can rewind if you need to see those again. Well, we will be bringing some of them back. Anyway, the next card also talks about us and our state of being ahead and some feelings or where we're at generally. And this is the Five of Cups. This card primarily speaks about longing and disappointment. It's like what you thought would make you happy has turned out to be a disappointment, and not to force things if they're never going to work out. So this seems to be a strong inclination, desire to continue clinging in spite of everything to old ways and to problematic situations, relationships or paths or habits or beliefs, etc., even though they aren't making you happy and they're not resolvable truly. The next card talks about the environment and how your environment is influencing you. This is the Nine of Wands. And again, there's this sense of being cooped up. This card has two meanings. So for some of you, it'll play out a little differently. On the one hand, there's a sense of being cooped up and trapped at home or feeling isolated, but with this sense of something looming over you, whether it's the sense of being watched or a sense of anxiety and dread. And for others, it is a time of biding your time and gathering your resources and knowing that when the time is right, you'll have everything you need to take action. So this month is a time of, what's the word I want? Kind of like what I see in my head is the idea of like a plant. All the growing a plant does before it breaks the surface of the earth, it looks like there's nothing happening, but it's gathering everything it needs in order to be successful once it leaves the ground. That's what I mean to say. This card describes what is lying within our subconscious. And the subconscious is easy, or rather important to note, because a lot of our thoughts, feelings, motivations, actions, and decisions kind of flow out of that, especially if we're not particularly introspective. The subconscious bears a lot of root for why we do what we do. So it's important to note this influence, what's really happening on a deeper level. This is the Eight of Swords, and this talks about giving your power away and being very fearful and anxious. And that this fear comes from not having all the information you need, feeling disempowered or feeling the weight of expectations, and feeling trapped. And this card also, it's important to know this so that you can ask yourself what it is you need to feel more secure. What information do you need? It may be that information is not possible, and in that case, there are still ways to take your power back and to not give it away to a situation. This final card is the Outcome card, and this is kind of talking about the future of May, the end results of it for many of us. Now, I'd also like to say that future is not set in stone, and that is the point of doing future readings such as this, so that we can make an active choice to choose a different path. That being said, the Outcome card is the Three of Swords. So perhaps for you or for many people, the outcome of May is emotional distress, heartache, and sorrow, unfortunately. And an additional meaning to the card in this deck is that things may not be as bad as we feel that they are, and the potential for emotional melodrama and overreaction. So really consider for you individually if you are truly pinned down with no hope of escape, or if perhaps your perspective is just colored by your emotions. All right, so along with all these, I also asked for advice for us. So since we just went over these, I'm going to take out the cards that came out as an extrapolation on this. So let's see. So there's these three, and this one, let's pull these aside. This card, which was talking about us and our state of being in the month ahead, saying again, what we hoped would make us happy is a disappointment. Don't force things that won't work out. Us trying to cling to problematic situations not being willing to let them go. So additional advice was given about this. This is the Six of Swords, and this talks about the need to retreat in order to recover and to heal. So instead of clinging, it would be best to look at what your emotional needs are. What are you really feeling underneath it? Frequently, when we cling to things, maybe it's not the situation or person or habit we're trying to hold on to, but the need it was fulfilling or our hopes. So it'll be easier to not get stuck in this way if we retreat, leave the situation, and kind of lick our wounds, so to speak. If we allow ourselves that time to truly recover. The Seven of Cups follows this, and it talks about there being a lot of confusion or options and choices. It also talks about how not all of these options are what they appear to be. So it would be best to not make a decision right now, but to wait and allow things to settle more and allow things to become more clear. Again, things aren't what they appear to be, and you're not in a very good place to make a decision. So again, clinging onto problematic things, whatever they are, the advice is to move away from it, retreat, let go, get out of the situation, etc., and give yourself space to heal, to be wounded, because acknowledgement is the first step into that. Don't make any decisions about it beyond that. So kind of take a step back, get out of it, allow things to settle. So in the month of May, it's not a great time to make choices, especially about ongoing things, especially if you're feeling emotional and in need of emotional care. This is followed by the Fool, and this talks about the need to follow your heart, to march to the beat of your own drum, to be individual and unique. So focus on yourself. Don't follow what you're clinging to, but follow yourself in your own individual path. It's important to be connected to others, but it's important to be willing to be ourselves and to do what is right for us and to take a unique way. So that's what's being suggested in order to address this particular issue. There's an additional card which is an extrapolation of the Six of Swords. And this is the Queen of Discs. And this talks about, it describes qualities of you, someone who is generous, motherly, so nurturing, caring, and giving of all life's sweetness, a giver. So you give and give and give. And while that's not necessarily bad, being generous is good, but giving endlessly often leads to problems. And I feel that somehow that those qualities in you are part of this situation. Either it's perpetuation or wanting to hold on to it and try to make it work. And this comes off of this card. These two are connected. So in this healing, you need to retreat and get out of it, because it is a deep inclination to give of yourself and to nurture. But you need to nurture yourself and to turn this quality onto yourself and be your own mother right now, so to speak, or your own, to give your loving and caring to yourself. Nurture yourself to tend your own garden, not another person's or another situation's, and so on. Is there anything I want to add about this? This may also be an extrapolation on exactly what it is needs to be healed and tended to. Your tender heart, and also to resolve this particular pattern of behavior. So that is some of the advice that was given in regards to that. So let's set those aside. Now we're going to bring the center back over. There we go. It's not the smoothest surface. technically this would go under here. And when this came out, connecting these two. So we'll just move the other cards out of the way. Sorry, it's caught under the screen. There we go. So this is giving advice on this. Essentially what this reading has been saying is that we have the opportunity to heal, to transcend, and to be able to blend the earthly and the spiritual, to not be ruled and controlled by material things, and to flow with the universe. The rest of the reading indicates that most of us will not take advantage of that opportunity. So this is advice on how to do so. And our current opportunity is connecting with the distant past, how we would push and push and push. Frequently we were in a sense following our heart, but it was not kind of in a complete way. This is the Empress, and this card talks about examining things. It also talks about give your love to Earth's creatures and receive their love in return. There's this idea of connectedness, knowing you're part of a greater whole and opening your heart to more of that love. And to take a different look at things, to see with the eyes of love. Again, hearkening to this. Seeing with the eyes of love, seeing the unseen. I feel the fish here is representative of this opportunity to rise above and the flow of the universe that we can ride if we choose to do so. And we can move into that through these qualities of unconditional love, nurturing, caring for others and ourselves, and examining everything in a new light. And healing this part of the past, this feeling of fear and needing to push and to strive while getting nowhere at the same time, not genuinely. So hopefully that idea is clear. I'm going to take a drink of water real quick. Yes, there is more. I was given quite a lot this month. So these are just additional advice. The first part, this is the Hierophant, and this is saying that in this month ahead, it's very important to be very mindful of who it is you're listening to, who you are taking as an authority, not just spiritually, but in all ways. Minding where you're getting your information and whose word you're just taking for granted. And I feel these two cards depict two different types of sources. Well, it's kind of nuanced. So let's just go one at a time. This is the Knave of Discs. This card talks about being connected to nature and the natural world. So don't ignore your own truth and your sense of connection to what is right just because an authority figure has told you thusly. Or when you do choose to listen to people, ask if they're connected to their own truth and self. This might be a bit tricky, of course. You may also take this even more literally, like listening to the earth itself and to the elements around you and to spirit. This next card depicts qualities. This card describes a person who is charismatic and draws people to them through that charisma and beauty, but can also be arrogant, frivolous, or overconfident. So even if someone is attractive and very charismatic and, many of the things they say may also ring true, to be mindful of where what they're saying comes from. If it comes from too much of a sense of sureness rather than being fully considerate of the people who are listening to them. So there is that. And then finally, this is the Tower. This talks about your foundations in different areas of your life may not be as solid as you think, and that anything with a weak foundation is going to become weaker or crumble down. Expect the unexpected. There are big changes, either coming sooner or later. The next card is the Ten of Wands, and this describes a particular situation. The situation is overwhelming, a negative, suffocating, and that it would be very good to move out of it. So I believe the Tower is talking about those problematic situations, relationships, etc., where it's like it's not suddenly a problem because of what's happening in the world. This is about other things or deeper things that may be adjacent or not related at all, things that have always been problems. They're weak foundations. And that the longer you stay in it, the more confusing and overwhelming things will become, the more trapped you will feel, that there is no help being offered in dealing with the situation. So it's a good idea to get out, to finally admit that it's not working and not going to work. And this card is the King of Swords. This suggests the need to clear your head, to plan, strategize, intellectualize, sometimes we need to get out of our feelings, because that can keep us stuck in positions like this, where even though we see the walls crumbling down, we refuse to leave. So perhaps you may want to literally write out your considerations, or to talk to someone who is in their head, so to speak, and to figure some things out. Start planning. It's not a month of action or decision per se, just to start thinking and move more into the intellect and out of one's emotions, but specifically like moving out of one's emotional glasses, or the way it's colored your view. It's not that emotions are bad, it's just sort of like being willing to take off that emotional lens in order to truly see. So that is the card reading for May 2020. Let's come back to here. There's a lot of talking. All right, let's take a look and see what's next. The numerology for the month. This is what I'd like to share with you next. May is the 5th month, so this month's number is 5. And the 5 vibration is related to freedom, adventure, expecting the unexpected, flexibility, and plans going awry or being moved or changed by the universe. So these are kind of the themes, in addition to the theme on the screen. 5 can be a very great energy. This is a great energy to be in alignment with source, to be in flow, to allow, to surrender and give over control, and to be flexible. Even if you do have plans, to leave wiggle room or the ability to adapt. Obviously, if you're in a rigid place, it may not be so pleasant. So that is the numerology. Now I would like to share with you the astrology for the month ahead. And I would like to begin by saying a happy birthday to all May Taurus and May Gemini signs. Happy birthday all. And I have a little something extra for you. I have birthday guidance for May, and this is from the Wisdom of Avalon Oracle cards. So I am going to read the description. Again, as a May Taurus, you may resonate with parts of or the entirety of the message. This is your message for May. Your card is restriction. Try to hold this. This marker brings notice of restriction in all things. You are in a prison of your own making, or at the mercy of that which is temporarily out of reach. You aren't able to move forward constructively at this time. Be patient, which Taurus is good at. Pay attention to the next right action, and sooner than you know, the prison doors will swing open and you will yet again proceed to the greater goal. For now, take this opportunity to rest, taking stock of where you are and from where you've come. Ask, how did I get here? What am I not seeing? What needs repairing? Once answers come, so does relief from the bondage of circumstances and mind. Very good advice, I think. This is an excellent opportunity to rest. When we have our sun solar return, we do get a boost of energy. So up until your actual birthday, it is actually a pretty good idea to kind of keep it casual and low-key. Anything I'd like to add? May Taurus brings an energy of stability, grounding, and a focus on comfort and foundation. So I find this apt for May Taurus. But considering the energy, this is in regards to the energy of the month overall, that at this time there is a focus on the foundations of our lives. And so this card saying what needs repairing and what to tend to is very good advice. And now we will move into May Gemini. Your card is Death. Don't worry, it's all good things. This marker portends a time of transformation, a total change of attitude, the death of the old. Regardless of how death presents itself, it is a necessary aspect of all things. Always remember the phoenix that rises up out of its own ashes to soar in the wind, renewed, filled with life. Death is the winter of things, part of the cycle of life. When you receive this marker, you are reminded that all things have their season. Take courage, for in surrendering to death, in time you will be blessed with extraordinary new life. Rejoice, for that which dies fertilizes and fortifies the new. Gardening. Endings always point to fresh beginnings. So that is the birthday guidance for May Taurus and May Gemini. And we'll talk about the change in energy as we move into Gemini in just a moment. So I would like to talk about the moons for May 2020, beginning with the full moon on May 7th. The full moon will be in Scorpio, and the energy of this moon will be excellent for manifesting transformation, deep change, deep shedding, purification, and something new rising out of those ashes, out of that compost. So use what you shed to feed yourself in your jump forward. Very excited about the full moon. And this month, I'm also including talking about the half moons. So after that is the waning half moon. So the moon that is growing dark at its halfway point is on May 14th in Aquarius. And this energy concerns a kind of duality while turning within. And there's a focus here thinking about what it is that you want to express and share with others. And the duality being considered is thinking there's a focus on you, the individual, as well as your connection to the collective and to your community. What is it? We're turning our attention within and digging deep for what really lives in us, what we have to offer, what we want to give, an opportunity for that reflection. Then follows the new moon on May 22nd in Gemini. This is an excellent opportunity to clear old connections and wounds, to forgive, which is just another way to release and free yourself, and to heal your connections, to heal relationships, and to invite in new beginnings and new connections, such as if it were me, I might use this energy to put out the intention to connect with a new life partner or a new business partnership or with new clients, to put out that energy. And then finally is the waxing half moon on May 29th in Virgo. So this is the moon growing in brightness at its halfway point. So again, duality, but turning outward. So now the energy is, our attention and energy turns outward, and we ask, how do we want to serve, and how do we want to express ourselves? How do we express ourselves through work and through our self-care? Examining how you would like things to be and creating new order. So that kind of radiating outward. What it is you need to function and to step forward, and taking that from inside you and putting that outward as the moon grows. So those are our moons for the month. Now I would like to share with you the planetary transits for May. So again, as I mentioned before, we begin the month with the sun in Taurus, carrying over from last month. And again, there's a focus on our foundations in all areas of our life. It's an opportunity to address any weaknesses or to crumble down what's weak and not working, and to build something new or to strengthen. And for those of us who already have good foundations, to build upon them and continue advancing forward. Also continuing from April and all through May is the Pluto retrograde in Capricorn. This is so important. I'm so interested and intrigued by this energy. Retrogrades are a period of review, reassessment, of second chances, an opportunity to deepen lessons, to revisit an energy, and also to resolve things. So this energy is geared towards shedding all that is not serving you. In some cases, whether you want to shed it or not, anything you've been holding on to may end up being moved forcefully along anyway. Pluto is deeply intense, deeply transformative. And this energy, the retrograde, will be coinciding with other astrological influences all the way from now into the beginning of October. So also interacting with things like Mercury retrogrades. As we get to those months, we'll discuss it more. So this retrograde brings or forces deep total transformation in the areas of our traditions, home, family, career, ethics, asking or forcing us to look at our personal integrity if we're really living in alignment with ourselves and with our path, our personal responsibility for any choices we made in the past, and our responsibility in moving ourselves forward. Any issues in our lives or dynamics or problematic situations related to issues of independence and dependence, issues of control dynamics, and it is a second chance to resolve problematic situations, and a second chance to rise to the occasion during this period. And that is like in every sense you can think of that, rising to the occasion in your life. All right, now on May 10th, Saturn goes into retrograde in Aquarius. So I'm also looking forward to that. This is a period of review, taking a look at contrasting struggles, creating positive bonds while still being an individual. This is a period highlighting responsibility in the connections you have with others and what it is you're sharing with those around you, with your community, what it is you are putting out in the world and perpetuating through your choices, thoughts, your beingness. And there's a focus on doing the work of preserving your individuality while being collective, while being connected to humanity and your community. That's what Aquarius is all about being unique and individual, but within a greater whole. And Saturn just brings that additional idea of responsibility and maturing and how it is you're doing that. Again, Saturn really calls us to rise to the occasion. On May 11th, Mercury in Taurus moves into Gemini. So this is an excellent time for the implementation of ideas and thoughts. To any ideas and thoughts we've had, to really take them out of here and to start acting on them and fulfilling them, talking about them, doing them. Connections and communications open, and there is an energy of speedy change and opportunities for agreements to be made. Make sure they're good ones. And if you're not sure, don't agree. On May 12th, Mars in Aquarius moves into Pisces. So there will be that surge of energy and initiative will move towards creative projects and emotionally supporting others. And it will be important to flow with situations, allow yourself to be led and guided by the universe and intuition and spirit. Again, kind of going with that 5 energy, just being flexible. And with this, it's very important to remember to keep a temperament of kindness, to not emotionally overreact, but to come from that place of love. Pisces has the capacity to be extremely tender and nurturing. So to live in that. Also on the 12th, Venus goes into retrograde in Gemini. So again, a period of review, and this is an opportunity to forgive others and to forgive ourselves. And remember, forgiveness is a way to free ourselves, to relieve ourselves of a burden. But even while doing this, while we forgive others and release this weight, we don't allow unreliable people back in. There's also an energy of reunions being likely. So people from the past or relationships from the past being reformed, reignited, or coming up again. So again, remembering that not allowing unreliable people back in is very important. These people are being brought up for opportunities for forgiveness. Some of these reunions will be with people that there are positive relationships with, and that is good. And this is also a time for new approaches to relationships, situations, projects, ideas in order to advance. On May 14th, Jupiter goes into retrograde in Capricorn. Again, a period of reassessment. Question your personal ideas about success. Reassess. Reassess your shoulds and the pressure that you put on yourself through your must-dos and your shoulds. This is an opportunity to create your own path rather than continuing down what society imposes or what your parents imposed or whatever ideas you internalized about how success should be. On May 20th, the Sun in Taurus moves into Gemini. So we move our focus into communication, networking, and connections. Focus is needed to materialize plans. So don't be scattered. Don't try to do everything. Focus on something. It will take all you have to break through your shell. So that's why it's important to focus, because you need all of your energy, all of your emotional, mental resources to advance. So if you spread yourself out, you won't make progress. Focus on new ideas, connections, associations. And then finally, on the 28th, Mercury in Gemini moves into Cancer. So be sure to practice kindness with self and others, and to express yourself with kindness towards yourself and towards others. There's a greater capacity to being perceptive and intuitive in situations and relationships, but there's also the potential to emotionally over respond. So again, live in that space of kindness, love, and care. So those are our transits for the month. And finally, well, before we move into that, let's just take a moment to take in all that information. Of course, you have the opportunity to rewatch this if need be, but I shared a lot just now. Just take a moment to bring yourself present. Notice all of your sensory input. What are you seeing, hearing, tasting, smelling, feeling, thinking? What is it like to be you right now in this moment? Just take a moment. Whatever impressions, feelings, images come to you after taking in all this information. You're welcome to just mentally note them or write them down. Thank you for taking a moment with me to just absorb all that and to get in touch with yourself and your own impressions about everything you've heard. And now, I would like to share with you the reflection, the monthly, hold on, let me read my notes. This monthly prompt/reflection. So throughout the month of May, I'd like you to do the following. But first, I'd like to open with a quote, maybe paraphrased, from Abraham Hicks. I thought it was so brilliant. A belief is a thought you keep thinking. That really breaks it down a lot, where a belief feels like this thing that's really entrenched, like steel. It takes a lot of work to root it out, if you can at all, but a belief is just a thought you keep thinking. And if you stopped thinking that thought, then your belief would be something different, wouldn't it? And I would like to add to that, a habit or pattern is a choice you keep making. If you stopped making that choice, then you would no longer have a habit or pattern. Just like if you stopped thinking that thought, you would no longer have that belief. So this month, I urge you to notice your thoughts and your choices. Or whenever you think about a belief you have or analyze one or a habit or pattern, to think of it in that context. These are just thoughts. These are just choices. And especially if they're ones that aren't serving you, just take a moment to acknowledge them and then forgive yourself for thinking the thought or making that choice. It's all right, honest. We all do it. And then the key here is to choose again and to choose differently all month long. And as you do this, reach for something a little better and work your way up. So don't expect perfection or to go from 0 to 100. Just, if you're at 5, reach for 10. If you're at 20, reach for 21. If you're at 50, reach for 70. Reach for the next thing upward in terms of a choice. So if you typically make a certain choice in a situation, even if you're not able to make the ideal choice or the perfect choice, reach for a slightly better choice than you would normally make. And same for a thought. Maybe you're not thinking the perfect love and light thought, but reach for a thought that's slightly better than your usual thought that constitutes your belief. So again, a belief is just a thought you keep thinking. A habit or pattern is just a choice you keep making. You are in control. And it's simple, but it's not necessarily easy. It is a constant work. So throughout this month, you will be doing this constantly, many, many times every day even. And know that eventually you will create a new belief and new patterns as you break through and create that change. So that's for you this month. And that brings us to the end of our monthly report. I would love to hear your feedback, what your experience with this report was. And if you really enjoyed it, tell people about it. Encourage them. If they become a member, they can also enjoy this forecast. Thank you all for your continued support as always. This has been the monthly metaphysical report. Be so blessed and see you next time.